Hello everybody, happy Tuesday afternoon, hope yours is going well, and we have another Seahawks video to get to today, but first, we just hit 1,630 subscribers to the channel. I want to say thank you to all of you. Please like the video down below and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, I want to give a special shout out to our channel members, Jason Baker, Hillel Eiferman, Anton, HaWKxXAsYLuM, Ryguy, Rip, Carson, Caesar, and newest member as of last night, Nick Taylor. That brings us up to 9. One more, and I can make another custom emoji. I want to say thank you once again to those guys in particular. And now it's time for the football content. And this is not the football content you may have been expecting today. You all know by now that Tuesday is my Let Russ Cook day. Tuesday is the day I take a look at the situational play calling of the Seahawks and see how we're stacking up to the rest of the league. And that video is coming later today. That video will come later today, but I decided today was going to be a double upload day because I saw something last night on Twitter that really caught my eye, and after thinking about it last night, I decided I wanted to make a specialized video just to discuss this, because this to me is big. So, what caught my eye on Twitter was a tweet from Brady Henderson. So he starts off by saying the Seahawks have now allowed the most yards through 6 games in NFL history, 2,875. That is almost 500 yards a game. But we already knew that. We knew that this defense is giving up a ton of yards. And giving up yards is not necessarily the worst thing in the world as long as you're not giving up points. But no matter how you slice it, the defense is bad. The defense is very bad through 6 games. So Pete Carroll was asked for his assessment of DC Ken Norton Jr. and Seattle's defensive staff. So I'm not here to talk about how bad the defense has been, because we all know that. Everybody who's on my channel knows this defense is bad. I talk about it all the time. But here's the thing. In recent weeks, especially the last couple days, I've had a ton of comments on my videos and a ton of comments on my streams pounding the table for get Ken Norton out of Seattle, fire Ken Norton, get him out of there, demote him, make him a cheerleader, just don't let him be involved in this defense anymore, get him out. And I've had a lot of people ask me, what do you think you would do about Ken Norton? And ever since last year, really, because the Ken Norton thing has been going on for a while, I have said, I think we should fire him because it can't get much worse. Like, how is the defense going to be worse than the worst in NFL history in terms of yards? But I also always said, I don't know if it's going to make any difference. I don't know if Ken Norton is doing anything for this defense beyond just being a rah-rah guy. So this quote, and, maybe we kind of already knew this, but this quote from Pete Carroll, because he gave a couple quotes in his press conference yesterday, and when I saw these quotes on Twitter, they immediately made me go, maybe we have a little something here. Maybe we could actually fix something by bringing in a different defensive coordinator, even if that defensive coordinator ends up being Carroll himself. So let's take a look at this quote from Carroll. This is from his press conference yesterday. These are direct quotes from Pete Carroll. This first part of the quote, I'm not going to go over in its entirety because it's not really relevant to the point I'm trying to make, but you can read it. You can pause the video if you want to, but short version is they ask him for his assessment of Norton and the defensive coaching staff, and Carroll basically says, I'm part of that too. I'm not saying that the defense is not my responsibility. Says they need to keep working to put players in better positions, and they're not quite there yet. He says that they didn't really plan to rush Kyler Murray last night, and he admits that they should have, especially late in the game, and they weren't able to communicate that they wanted different things done at the end of the game. He just says, they're not there quite yet. And he is confident they're going to get there eventually. But that's not the important part of this. So here, this is the bottom part. This is the part that really caught my attention. So on how involved Carroll is with defensive play calling and in-game defensive decisions. And once again, this is a direct quote from Pete Carroll's press conference last night, or yesterday afternoon. We work real close with the whole staff. We work about what the plan is. We work about calls by situation. And so we do stuff together. I think we all knew that. Kenny calls the game for the most part. I want to repeat that part because it's important. Kenny calls the game for the most part, and then I'll add stuff in as we're going. I'm in the conversation the whole way with him and trying to help out as much as I can, but also you've got to stay out of the play caller's mind for the most part, I believe. I want to repeat that part too. But also, you've got to stay out of the play caller's mind for the most part, I believe. So I'm trying to work while complimenting. That's why I'm right in here with it, and we're trying to get this thing knocked out and cleaned up and all that, so we're doing it together. So, with this quote, Carroll seems to be acknowledging the fact that the defense, in terms of its game day play calling, what it's doing from play to play, is mostly on Norton. He says Kenny calls the game for the most part. And he says that while he tries to help out, he stays out of the play caller's mind for the most part. So, translated to me, what this says is the defensive play calling is mostly on Ken Norton. This is the kind of information I've been looking for, and, you know, if I had maybe done some really intense watching of tape or some really intense deep diving, I probably would have been able to figure this out before then, but seeing Carroll just come out and say, yeah, Norton's handling most of the play calling, that makes me think that Norton might actually be having a big impact on this defense. I've never doubted that he had at least a little bit of impact on this defense, and maybe you could credit some of the bad tackling to him or some of the, you know, low football IQ mistakes to him. But if Ken Norton Jr. is handling most of the play calling on this defense, then that means he owns a big part of this. Now, people who watch my channel know I'm not really Pete Carroll's biggest fan right now. We're not friends right now. If I met Pete Carroll in real life, I might have some choice words for him about the way he's doing things with this team, the way he built this team, the way he put it together. But we all know Carroll's not going anywhere anytime soon. Short of us missing the playoffs this year, I don't think he's going to step down, and I also don't think he's ever going to get fired. Sorry, it just is what it is. If we miss the playoffs this year, I do think he will step down, but that's something that won't be decided for another couple months. So, this tells me that maybe there is a quick fix for this defense. Ken Norton Jr. is the primary play caller. By Carroll's own admission, he calls the game for the most part, and Carroll tries to stay out of his mind for the most part in game. That means if you get rid of Norton and you either bring in somebody else or you let Carroll handle the defensive play calling, things should change. It means that Norton does own some of this. That to me is a big revelation because we can't get rid of Schneider, we can't get rid of Carroll. Those guys are locked in for the rest of the season pretty much no matter what happens, however we may feel about that. But Norton can go. Norton can get fired any day. And some of the stuff Carroll says in here indicates to me that he's not exactly going to have a quick trigger finger on getting rid of Ken Norton. I understand that. He does say, you know, we're working on it. We're working really hard to work this stuff out. That tells me that he thinks things are going to get better eventually if he stays the course, which isn't the most encouraging thing to me. But it also tells me that if we play the Niners this week, we're playing the Niners in 5 days, if they go off on us for 500 yards without Debo, without Mostert, without Jeff Wilson Jr., with their offensive line not playing that well, if they go off on us, then Ken Norton can fall on the axe, and not only can he fall on the axe, his falling on the axe could have an actual impact on this defense. So, to the people who have been asking me the last few days, should the Seahawks fire Ken Norton? My answer before has been yes, but I don't know if it's going to make a change. My new answer after seeing this information is yes. My new answer right now is yes, no qualifications. We now have evidence that getting rid of Ken Norton Jr. would actually make a change. I'm not even saying it would guarantee to be a positive change. We could bring in somebody else who has just as big of a problem, but how can you get worse than worst in the NFL history? In terms of yards. I do want to say that, but however you look at it, the defense is bad. Alright guys, so that's it for this video. Keep an eye out for the Let Russ Cook video coming later today, but this was so big, I had to make a video on it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you like the content. Please like the video, and peace out, go Hawks.